Okay, so you're thinking about that big move, maybe to somewhere like Hong Kong. It's exciting.
Totally exciting.
Ma.
But let's be real. Finding a place to live there, it can feel like trying to solve a puzzle in the dark.
Exactly. Like navigating this huge, complex maze. Lots of people feel that way, which is why we wanted to do this deep dive.
Yeah, our mission today is basically to give you a shortcut, help you get really well informed about hunting for an apartment in Hong Kong.
We've dug into this great resource, an expat survival guide, specifically on renting there.
Right. The idea is to pull out the absolute must-know stuff, the key nuggets,
Yeah.
so you can find your spot with hopefully way less stress and more confidence.
And this guide, it comes from moveandstay.com. They've been doing this for ages, like over 25 years.
Oh, wow.
Helping expats and business travelers find places all over Asia. So they really get the challenges, especially in a city like Hong Kong.
That's super valuable context. They've seen it all, basically.
Pretty much. Their guide feels really practical, focusing on the real ins and outs.
Okay, so what are we covering? What are these nuggets?
Well, we'll look at the different rental types, serviced apartments versus, regular flats.
Big difference there.
The role of property agents, super crucial in Hong Kong.
Absolutely essential, yeah.
Why you need to be, like, lightning fast when you find something you like.
Oh, yeah, speed is key.
All the costs involved, not just the rent.
The hidden costs always get you.
And even how to negotiate. Apparently it's expected.
It often is, yeah. We'll get into that. So, lots to unpack.
Definitely. Let's start with those basic options. Serviced apartments or regular flats. What's the deal with serviced ones first?
Okay, so serviced apartments. Think of them as like a mix between a hotel and an apartment. They're brilliant for when you first land.
Like a soft landing pad.
Exactly. A soft landing. They come fully furnished, which is huge. Often include housekeeping, laundry services. Some even have a concierge.
Right, so really convenient. What about facilities?
Usually pretty good. You'll often find laundry rooms in the building, maybe a gym, sometimes even a pool.
And the lease. That's the flexible part.
That's the key, yeah. Minimum lease can be just 1 month. Perfect if you're testing the waters or waiting for your long-term place.
But the catch is the price.
Yep. You pay for that convenience. It's definitely going to cost more than a standard flat month to month.
Okay, so then there are the regular rental properties, the flats.
Right, the flats. These are more of a commitment. You're usually looking at a 2-year lease.
2 years sounds long.
It does, but we'll talk about break clauses later.
Yeah.
The main thing here, though, most come unfurnished.
Ah, okay. So you walk in and it's empty.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Maybe basic kitchen fittings, but yeah, you need to bring everything else. Furniture, appliances sometimes.
That sounds like a lot of initial effort and cost.
It is. It's a big factor. But over the course of that 2-year lease, the monthly rent itself is generally quite a bit cheaper than serviced.
So it's that classic trade-off, immediate ease versus long-term saving.
Exactly. Convenience now versus cost efficiency later. Depends on your situation and how long you plan to stay.
Okay, let's say you find a flat you like. Next up is the lease agreement. The guide says read everything.
Oh, absolutely. Every single word. Don't just skim it.
And that standard term is usually 2 years.
Typically, yeah. But like I said, almost all of them have a break clause, usually kicks in after the first year.
How does that work?
It means you can leave after 1 year, but you normally have to give, say, 2 months notice. It gives you some flexibility back.
Got it. What about what's included in the rent? Is it just the space?
Good question. Usually, government rates and management fees are included, but you absolutely have to check. It's not always guaranteed.
Okay. So don't assume.
Never assume. And then there's stamp duty.
Stamp duty. What's that?
It's a small government tax on the lease agreement itself, about 0.5% of the annual rent.
Okay. Who pays that?
Usually you split it 50-50 with the landlord. It's not huge, but it's another cost to factor in.
Right. So the main advice is just ask if you're unsure.
Definitely. Ask questions about anything unclear before you sign on that dotted line.
Now, this negotiation point, you said haggling is expected. That seems unusual for rent, maybe.
Yeah, it can feel weird depending on where you're from. But the guide is clear. In Hong Kong, pretty much everything is negotiable. Landlords often expect you to try.
Seriously? They won't think you're being difficult.
Not usually, no. It's sort of part of the process, shows you're engaged. And think about it, even getting HK $500 off the monthly rent.
Adds up over a year or two, yeah.
Exactly. But it's not just the price. You can negotiate other things too.
Like what?
Well, repairs, for instance. If you spot something broken during the viewing, get the landlord to agree, in writing ideally, to fix it before you move in.
Ah, smart. What about appliances if the fridge looks ancient?
Ask. See if they'll replace it or provide a washing machine if there isn't one. The
Ah,
worst they can say is no, right?
true. It never hurts to ask.
And remember, you always have the power to walk away if the terms just aren't right for you. Don't feel pressured. That's your leverage.
Okay, good advice. Let's switch gears to finding the right place. Choosing a neighborhood sounds like a big decision in itself.
Oh, it's huge. It's not just about the flat. It's about the community, the lifestyle. And Hong Kong has such diverse areas.
The guide mentions some popular expat spots.
Yeah, it does. Like mid-levels, that's a classic. Super close to Central, the main business district. Amazing views usually.
Probably pricey.
Definitely on the higher end, rent-wise. But the convenience factor is massive for people working in Central.
What else? Happy Valley.
Happy Valley, yeah. A bit more of a laid-back vibe. Surprisingly green in parts.
Yeah.
Famous for the race course, obviously. Good for families, too, actually.
Interesting. And then somewhere totally different, like Sai Kung.
Ah, Sai Kung. If you love nature, beaches, hiking,
Mhm.
it's stunning. Feels a world away from the city bustle.
Sounds lovely, but maybe a longer commute.
For sure, that's the trade-off. It's a real expat magnet out there, though.
Yeah.
People love the lifestyle.
So the advice is basically explore. Don't just look online.
Absolutely. Go visit these places, walk around, grab a coffee, check out the local market, talk to people who live there if you can, get a real feel for it.
And then there's the commute calculation. How bad is it from these places?
Well, Hong Kong's MTR system is fantastic, but distance still matters. From mid-levels to central, maybe 15, 20 minutes, including walking. Pretty easy.
Okay. Happy Valley.
Happy Valley, maybe 20, 25 minutes. Often involves a tram ride, then the MTR.
And Sai Kung, the nature paradise?
Yeah, that's the longer one. You're probably looking at 45 minutes to an hour using a minibus and then the MTR.
Wow, okay. That's significant.
It is. Even Discovery Bay, which is popular and uses a ferry, that's around 30, 40 minutes to Central, including the ferry and MTR connection.
So you really need to think about that daily journey.
Critically, factor in potential delays, transfers. How much time are you realistically willing to spend commuting each day?
Which brings us to that balancing act, right? Size versus location versus facilities.
Exactly. It's almost always a compromise in Hong Kong. Do you want a bigger place further out or a smaller shoebox right in the center?
And then things like gyms or pools in the building.
Yeah, those clubhouse facilities. They're great, but they definitely bump up the rent and management fees.
So you have to ask yourself, what's really most important? Space, commute, pool access.
Precisely. You need to align where you spend your money with what you actually value most in your daily life.
Okay, so let's say you've kind of zeroed in on a neighborhood and your priorities. What's the next step? Finding an agent.
Yes, using a property agent or a real estate agency is super common in Hong Kong, and honestly, pretty essential for most expats.
Why are they so important?
Well, think of them as your guide through that maze we mentioned. They know the market, they filter listings based on your needs, they handle the often tricky communication with landlords.
So they save you time and hassle.
A ton of time. And crucially, they have networks. They often know about properties before they're widely advertised. They can connect with other agents quickly.
Okay, sounds worth it. But there's a cost, right? The commission.
Yes, and this often surprises people. In Hong Kong, the tenant usually pays the agent's commission.
How much is typical?
Generally, it's half of 1 month's rent. So if your rent is HK $20,000 a month, you pay the agent a one-time fee of HK $10,000.
Right. Need to budget for that too.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And the guide really stresses this. Make sure you are crystal clear on all the fees up front before you agree to work with an agent. No surprises later.
How do you find a good agent?
Best way. Ask around. Word-of-mouth recommendations from colleagues, friends, other expats, that's gold.
What if you don't know anyone yet?
Then maybe look for agencies that specialize in expat relocations or have offices in the neighborhood you're interested in. Definitely check they're licensed.
And maybe meet a few before deciding.
Highly recommend that. Don't just go with the first one. Find someone you click with who seems to genuinely understand what you're looking for.
Good point. Any pitfalls to watch out for?
Just remember they work on commission.
Yeah.
So be really firm and clear about your budget and your absolute must-haves. Don't let yourself be pushed towards something that isn't right just because it means a bigger commission for them.
Right. Stay firm. Okay, so you've got your agent. You've refined your search. Now the actual hunt begins. Any strategy?
Yeah, the guide suggests being systematic. First, really lock down that neighborhood choice, think vibe, transport, daily needs. Then find your agent, maybe even two if they cover different areas.
Okay. Then viewings.
Yep. Set up viewings, be super clear with the agent about budget, size, non-negotiables, and then get organized.
Organize how?
Keep track.
Yeah.
After seeing 5 or 6 flats, they all start to blur together. Take notes, photos, maybe even short videos. Record your impressions. Any questions that pop up?
Good idea. What should you look for during the viewing?
Have a checklist. Ask about what's included, neighbors, any upcoming construction nearby. Use your phone. Take lots of photos and videos. It's not just for memory, it's proof of condition. Yeah, check carefully for damp, damage, things needing repair. Note it all down. If you agree the landlord will fix something, having a photo helps.
Smart. What else?
Think practicalities. Is there enough storage? How's the natural light? What's the noise level like at different times?
Okay, this is where it gets intense, right? The speed thing.
Yes. This is crucial. The guide really hammers this home. If you find a place you like, you need to move fast.
How fast is fast?
Like potentially making an offer right there on the spot or within hours. Good apartments, especially in popular areas or price brackets, get snapped up incredibly quickly.
Wow. So you need to be prepared.
Totally prepared. Have your documents ready to go. That means your passport or your HKID. That's the Hong Kong identity card everyone gets.
Right, the HKID.
And your employment letter or contract is proof of income. And be ready to put down a deposit immediately to show you're serious.
What happens after you make an offer?
If it's accepted, you'll usually sign something called a provisional agreement. It's like a preliminary contract.
What does that do?
It basically secures the property for you while the landlord gets the formal tenancy agreement drawn up. It commits both sides, sort of.
Sort of.
Well, if the landlord backs out after finding it, they have to return your deposit, usually double. But if you back out, you lose your deposit.
Ah, okay. High stakes.
Definitely. And even at this stage, remember, you can still negotiate those final terms.
Yeah.
Rent, repairs, maybe adding an appliance.
So be quick, be prepared, but also trust your instincts.
Exactly. Trust your gut. Be ready to decide quickly, but also don't be afraid to walk away if something feels off. The guide shared an anecdote. Someone said, I hesitated for just one day and it was gone.
Yikes. Really underlines the point.
It really does.
Okay, let's talk money and paperwork, the financials. This sounds like it could be intimidating.
It can be, especially the upfront costs. You need to be ready for a significant initial outlay.
How significant?
Typically, you'll need the first month's rent plus a security deposit, and that deposit is usually equal to 2 months' rent.
2 months? Wow. So if rent is, say, HK $25,000 a month.
You need HK $25,000 for the first month, plus HK $50,000 for the deposit. That's HK $75,000 right there.
Okay, that's a chunk, and that's before the agent's fee.
Exactly. Add another half month's rent for the agent, so another HK $12,500 in that example. You're looking at nearly HK $90,000 just to get the keys.
Whew, okay. Message received. Budget carefully.
And add a buffer, because there are other costs too. Management fees, government rates if they're not included.
And that stamp duty we mentioned.
Right, the stamp duty. These might seem small individually, but they really add up.
And then there's the whole unfurnished thing again if you go for a regular flat.
Exactly. That's a whole separate budget item. Furnishing an entire apartment from scratch.
Any idea what that might cost?
Ballpark. The guide gives some rough figures. A basic furniture package, bed, sofa, table, etc. could be anywhere from HK $20,000 to HK $50,000 maybe.
Okay. And appliances.
If you need a fridge, washing machine, microwave, maybe another HK $5,000 to HK $15,000 depending on what you get. Plus all the smaller stuff, kitchenware, bedding, towels. Could be another HK $3,000 to HK $10,000 easily.
So it really mounts up. Any tips for saving money there?
Definitely. Buying secondhand is huge. Loads of expats sell perfectly good furniture when they leave Hong Kong. Look on community forums or Facebook groups.
Good tip. What else?
Renting furniture is also an option, especially if you're not sure how long you'll stay. And always factor in delivery costs. Moving furniture around Hong Kong isn't cheap.
So a detailed budget is essential.
Absolutely. With a line item for everything, plus that buffer for surprises.
Okay, what about the paperwork landlords need to see?
Pretty standard stuff, mostly. You'll need your passport and your visa proof you can legally live and rent in Hong Kong.
And proof of income.
Yes, that's key. An employment letter stating your salary, maybe recent pay slips or bank statements. Landlords need assurance you can afford the rent.
Do they ask for references?
Sometimes, yeah. Especially if you're new. References from previous landlords or maybe your employer can help.
And you fill out an application form.
Yep, a standard rental application with your details, employment history, that kind of thing. Having all this ready makes the whole process much smoother.
Is there a credit score system like in the US or UK?
Not really the same widespread way. Landlords rely more on that proof of stable employment, the
Hmm.
job letter, and the hefty deposit as their security.
Got it. So income proof and deposit are the main checks.
Primarily, yes.
And just to circle back one more time, act fast.
Yes. Sorry to sound like a broken record, but it's probably the single most important piece of advice for the Hong Kong market. If you snooze, you genuinely lose.
Why is it so fast? Just high demand.
High demand, definitely. Limited supply of good places in desirable areas, lots of competition, especially from other expats moving in, and landlords just prefer tenants who are decisive and ready to go.
Okay. Message definitely received now. Be prepared. Be fast.
Exactly.
Right. So let's imagine you've done it. You've navigated the maze, signed the lease, paid the deposit. Congratulations. Now you have an empty flat. What next?
The fun part begins. Furnishing it. If it's unfurnished, obviously.
Where do people usually go? IKEA.
IKEA is definitely a go-to for affordable basics. But don't forget local furniture shops, too. You can find some more unique or space-saving pieces.
Space saving seems important.
Oh, hugely important. Hong Kong apartments are famously small. So think clever storage, multifunctional furniture, stuff that folds away, vertical shelving, anything to maximize space.
Good point. And then making it feel like home.
Yeah, don't forget the touches that add personality. Curtains, lamps for softer lighting, rugs, cushions, those things really make a difference.
Okay, furniture sorted, then utilities. Sounds like admin fun.
Yeah, a bit of admin. You'll need to set up electricity with HK. Electric usually involves a deposit and monthly bills. Water is through the water supplies department that's billed quarterly,
Yes.
usually Taungas. You register online, bills are bi-monthly. They offer e-billing, which is handy.
And internet and TV.
Shop around for packages, lots of providers, compare the deals. The general tip here, keep copies of everything forms, emails. And set up automatic payments if you can, just makes life easier.
Makes sense. Once all that's done, time to explore.
Absolutely. Get out there. Find your local supermarket. Explore the wet market for fresh produce that's a real Hong Kong experience. Locate the nearest convenience store, cafes, restaurants, bars.
You get the lay of the land.
Exactly. And try talking to your neighbors. People are generally really helpful, can give you great local tips. Discover the local parks, too. Hong Kong has amazing green spaces hidden away.
And transport.
Get familiar with the MTR, buses, maybe the trams, depending on where you live.
Yeah.
An octopus card is essential. You use it for almost all public transport and even in many shops.
So just be patient and enjoy settling in.
Yeah, it takes time. Don't expect to feel completely settled overnight. Enjoy the process, explore, get lost a little. It's all part of the adventure.
So wrapping this up then, finding a place in Hong Kong. It sounds like, yeah, a bit of a wild ride maybe.
It can definitely feel that way, especially at the start. You probably do need to adjust expectations about space and accept that costs are high.
But it's doable.
Absolutely doable. Thousands of expats do it every year. With some good planning, knowing what to expect from guides like the one from moveandstay.com, maybe getting a good agent,
Yeah.
you can navigate it.
He's got to be prepared.
Be prepared, ask loads of questions, don't be afraid to explore different options.
I'm trying to embrace the chaos a bit.
Yeah, embrace it. It's all part of the experience of living in such an incredible, dynamic city.
So a final thought for everyone listening as they maybe start planning their own Hong Kong housing adventure.
Mm.
What surprising compromises might you find yourself willing to make? Maybe you thought you needed huge space, but discover a tiny place with an amazing view is perfect. Or maybe you'll uncover some hidden gem of a neighborhood you never considered, something that totally shapes your unique Hong Kong story.
Ooh, nice one.
Yeah.
What unexpected thing will make your Hong Kong? Food for thought.